This is going to be presented by Commissioner Catherine Denenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. It's my honor and privilege this evening to read the resolution celebrating the 65th anniversary of the Oak Ridge City School desegregation. Resolution number 2009825. Whereas the first public desegregation in the Southeast occurred at the direction of the Department of Energy. At that time, it was known as, the Atomic Energy Commission. This is in Oak Ridge on September 6th of 1955. And whereas back in 1955, the public school desegregation was closely monitored, by schools in the Southeast because although not the first school desegregation to occur in the nation, it was the first in the Southeast to contest the harsh and sometimes very dangerous Jim Crow segregation culture. And whereas the city of Oak Ridge and its public schools were still owned and managed by America's Defense Nuclear Complex, and at that time was known as the Department of Energy's National Nuclear Security Administration. Of course, that was back in 1955. And whereas today, almost no one in America knows about this landmark civil rights achievement. And whereas 85 Oak Ridge African-American students showed amazing courage and resolve as they entered the previously all-white classrooms of Oak Ridge High School and Robertsville Middle School on Tuesday, September 6th of 1955. And whereas these students experienced racial epithets on the school buildings, negative statements, stinging indignations, and some fistfights, as well as the stress of having to attend classes where they were the only Black students. And whereas, despite the individual problems, the overall desegregation went smoothly and quietly, thanks to the great courage of the Oak Ridge 85 students, their parents, teachers, and school administrators, as well as great overall community support and wonderful civil rights leadership from the Department of Energy and the National Nuclear Security Administration. And whereas before Oak Ridge schools opened for the 1955-1956 school year, Scarborough community, church ministers, parents, teachers, and the Scarborough school staff talked with students to help prepare them for the new journey they would take and told them that nothing less than exemplary behavior would be expected. And whereas Oak Ridge 85 students, Fred Gwynn and Lawrence Graham, became the first Black students on the Oak Ridge High School basketball team, and because of objections from other teams to playing against them because they were Black, Gwynn and Graham could not play in some of the away games. And whereas America has benefited on so many levels from public school desegregation, as it opened the door to a whole new group of talented, creative individuals to help our country solve the important and very challenging problems it faces today. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Anderson County Board of Commissioners meeting in regular session this 21st day of September 2020, that we honor the Oak Ridge 85 for the bravery and resolve, and encourage all citizens to pause and reflect on the courage of these amazing students and the wonderful gift of civil rights they provided to our city, county, and our nation. In witness thereof, we are to set our hands and cause the great seal of Anderson County, Tennessee to be affixed. And of course, this will be signed later today by our current chair, Tracy Wandell, County Mayor Terry Frank, and County Clerk Jeff Cole. I would now like to introduce Mr. Martin McBride, Mr. McBride, and Ms. Rose Weaver. These are two people that were very okay, Catherine's voice is going, instrumental in the organizing of the dedication to these students. And I know that they would both like to say a word to the commission. Thank you.
On behalf of the committee, I, Rose Weaver, wholeheartedly thank the county for supporting the efforts that were made in 1955. And it was, even though it was an Oak Ridge City accomplishment, it was a county accomplishment as well. And I know that back when the Clinton 12 and the bombing of the schools, I know it was the school in Oak Ridge that it embraced and provided an opportunity for school and education to continue. I want to thank you on behalf of these brave 85 students. Some of them are still living. Some of them attended some activities that we had back in the first week in September. And if you could just see the expressions on their face to know that the citizens of Oak Ridge and Anderson County are recognizing the feats that they made, as well as this legacy is being passed on to their grandkids, their great nieces. And we want to thank you for embracing this great event. And we're hoping that this can provide some economic development, not just for the city of Oak Ridge, but for Anderson County. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Martin McBride, and I am the co-chair along with Ms. Weaver here of this year's celebration. Again, I would also like to thank you as the commission for this wonderful honor you've bestowed upon the Oak Ridge 85 students. They were amazingly courageous walking into those schools 55 or 65 years ago. The 65th anniversary is a little bit odd year to celebrate an anniversary. One of the reasons we did it this year is because there was no 50th celebration, no 60th celebration. There has been no celebration at all. And so the support from the community and from the county has been just wonderful. And we're so grateful. And like Rose said, you should have seen the smiles on the faces of the people when we had one of our events here recently. It was heartwarming. We also would like to thank the Anderson County Board of Education. They were the ones that sponsored the Oak Ridge schools and ran the Oak Ridge schools back in 1955. And also, we would like to encourage everybody and all the schools across the Southeast to celebrate the anniversaries of their desegregation. I think we did it this year, and hopefully the Clinton 12 with their magnificent desegregation will celebrate their anniversary next year, but it is an achievement for America, these desegregations. I mean, and they're a foundation for a lot of the wonderful positive things that have happened in the civil rights movement. So thank you again. Thank you very much for your proclamation. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. McBride and commissioners. Give me time to get home. Thank you.
Thank you all. Any commissioners have any comments? If not, at this time.
Yes, I have a comment.
Go ahead, Commissioner Mead.
I apologize for not being in the courtroom tonight, but I took my temperature only minutes ago and it was 101.6. That's not because I have COVID or something, but I had 2 shots yesterday afternoon, one for shingles and one for flu. And they told me I might be sick. Well, I am, so I wouldn't have gotten past the temperature check at the front door. But I'm feeling just fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Hope you recover soon.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Thank you. I just want to thank Ms. Weaver and Mr. McBride and Commissioner Denenberg, City of Oak Ridge, for what they're doing on the 65th anniversary of celebrating the desegregation of the Oak Ridge School 65 years ago. And appreciate what Ms. Weaver said, which was Oak Ridge had their doors open for our county back back when our school had some issues, and they treated us just like we were one of theirs. And it's encouraging to see that this, so many years later, we're all still working together and supporting each other. And I just want to thank them and for coming and doing this. And I'm glad to see it being done. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. No other comments. We'll move on to the public hearing portion of the meeting and call the public hearing to order for the proposed rezoning of property at 3240 and 3242 Clinton Highway, Tennessee 37716. That's parcel 233 on the Anderson County Tax Map 97. At this time, if anyone wants to speak on the proposed rezoning, they can just either, if anyone's online or on the phone, they can call in, or if there's anyone in the audience that would like to come up to the microphone, just give us your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes to make your remarks to the commission. Looks like we've got at least one person here in the audience.
Yes, my name is Gordon Shepherd. 107 Shepherd Lane, Powell, Tennessee. My concern is we live just across the road from the address that you spoke of. And my concern is I don't have a problem with car lots or garages. But if you're familiar with the area, it's a lot of junk cars and all. And what we're concerned with, it might start out as a garage or a car lot. 2-3 years down the road, it's a junkyard. And I have no problem with garages and car lots. It's just the junkyards. And we have so many. Are you familiar with the area?
Yes.
Well, you know what I'm talking about. And it's bad enough. As long as it stays a garage and car lots, no problem. I'm just concerned of the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shepherd, for your comment. Is there anyone else in the audience that'd like to speak on the issue? Is anyone phoned in or dialed in that would like to comment? Danny, do you want to give us a quick overview?
The mic was off. To back up, there's been all kinds of notification given. What is required has been given. Secondly, I was thinking Ms. Johnson would be in attendance virtually through GoToMeeting, but for whatever reason, she's not. She is the owner that is endeavoring to have the property rezoned. What they initially intended on doing
Danny, I actually
there-
am on here.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
They may want to ask you here in a second if you have any comments or whatever.
Okay.
But initially what was intended was for them to put a metal building there, which they've already produced a site plan that has went before our planning commission. And what they're wanting to do there initially was to have a mechanic shop. Well, because this has turned into somewhat of a process of time, the person who was originally interested in doing that has somewhat backed out on doing that. So they don't know for sure what they're going to do. But just to the gentleman's comment here, if this property is rezoned to C1, then that would not be the appropriate zoning for some kind of junkyard. So if that was to happen down the road, it would happen illegally and have to be dealt with. What they intend on doing, again, is potentially a mechanic shop, auto sales, which falls under that C1 zone. Of course, right now it's A2. As you can see, if you've looked at the map, is that there's several properties in this vicinity that is zone C1. I don't know if there's nothing really contiguous, but there's several in the vicinity that is zone C1. And the only concern we had with it was, there's a lot of gravel right now there, and they can get a variance for a gravel parking lot through the Board of Zoning Appeals. They haven't wanted to do that yet because they didn't know for sure what was going to happen in this meeting. But even if they do that, the BZA grants the variance, which is something at times they do. The front entrance into that will still be paved as a result of people potentially tracking gravel in and out of there and motorcycles going through there. That was mine and David Crowley's main concern. And Caitlin, the Johnsons have already agreed that, that they would be willing to do that and meet all the requirements that you guys would set forth in order for this to be rezoned.
Thank you, Danny. And just to clarify, are the current junkyards in Anderson County, is that something that's maybe grandfathered in? Is that even an option to?
I would have to look at them on an individual. I'm sure some of them are grandfathered in, but I'm also pretty sure that there's I2 zones or I1 up and down through there, which is the appropriate zoning. And we have endeavored, since the time that I've been working for the county, helping with the property maintenance and getting some of that cleaned up. And we've had some success, and we're going to keep on pushing on that because we want that area through there looking good. You come from Knox County into Anderson County, it's one of the first things you see. And so, we've really tried to work with some of these owners. That's not an easy thing to do. We've had some success, but we intend on getting much more. So, yep. One more comment after the presentations. I'm going to slip out of the meeting, but I still will be in attendance till the vote is over through go to meeting. So I'll still be in attendance.
Is there anyone online that wanted to comment?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Go ahead.
When was the original request put in for the modification?
For the rezoning or for the site plan that went before the planning commission?
The rezoning.
In August, I believe, is when it was. They put the site plan, I know it was in August because they put the site plan before the planning commission in August. And, we had talked to them at that point, hey, really to do this property has been taxed commercial for years. And, but they want to do things the right way. They want it zoned appropriately for, what they would endeavor to do there. And so they said, hey, let's just go ahead and go through the rezoning process. So it was in August that it was brought up to come before county commission.
How far from residential property owners is it?
It's pretty good ways from residential property owners. As far as feet or yardage, I don't know that I would have a guess, but there's no houses right on top of, what they're endeavoring to do here.
And how big is the piece of property road frontage?
The property is 5.59 acres, and the majority of it has road frontage on Old Clinton Highway and Clinton Highway as well.
Okay, and the reason why I'm asking is because you said that you were concerned about the gravel.
Yeah, but the main concern is where the building would be, where they're tracking in and out. That would be the only reason, for gravel to come out in the highway. Just the entrance to the building there.
All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyone else online would like to comment?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to ask Danny, I think you answered my question. So this property, I'm looking at the map. It looks like it's before Beck's Curve, I guess, where they've been filling in with dirt. Is that the parcel he's talking about?
Yes, sir, it is.
It's on the left as you're going down the hill.
Yes, it is.
Now, the parcel 235 is kind of cut off in the middle of that. Who owns that property, and is it a home, or what? Do we know? Have they been notified?
Oh, yeah, they've been notified. Every parcel, I think we sent out either 8 or 9 certified letters notifying the, parcel owners that are contiguous and those that are straight across the road as well. I think there were like 8 or 9 different certified letters that was sent out. But yes, they have been notified. I can't answer for sure if there's a house there. I've been there, but honestly, I just can't remember. It's not coming to mind. But I don't remember. Maybe Mr. Shepherd could actually answer that.
Speaking of Mr. Shepherd, I appreciate him coming and speaking. He spoke very well. I agree with many of the things he stated. And I too don't have any issues with junkyards or parts places. It's been a part of our community for a long time, obviously, but I certainly don't want to see it expand anymore. And I heard what you said earlier about trying to work with the business owners and get it cleaned up. I think that's happened to some degree, but I'd like to see it happen more. It's probably the one call that I get the most is, why don't we do something from a zoning perspective on these businesses to make them be more presentable on the front end? I think the Johnsons have done a good job at times getting things better, but it just makes our county better if we just can keep things clean. So this property is what you're saying, and I know Ms. Johnson's on the phone. They're wanting to make this a commercial so they can put in a garage or a mechanic shop. Is that what you said?
Yes, and Ms. Johnson could speak to that a little more if she would like to.
Yes, can everybody hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so originally we had decided to put in a garage that was going to be used for a mechanic shop. And because of the timeline of how this project has went, just because we've had to do more than we originally thought, the guy that was going to rent it has found a place elsewhere, which is fine. But so now we still are going to go through and put another building on that site, barring that everything goes through. But that being said, we don't really know if it's going to be a mechanic's garage or really what it'll be. It'll essentially just be, a building that we will put up for rent, and probably a business owner will come in there. And so currently we have just a little car lot that's on there. It's a little used car lot, and he conducts business there. And so this building would just go right beside of him. And, we have been paying commercial taxes. The property owners before us for several years paid commercial taxes as well. And so we decided that, moving forward with this building, that just to do everything right and make sure that we're in compliance, that we would just apply to get it rezoned. That way that it would truly be a commercial piece of property. So that's kind of why we're asking, if we can get it rezoned.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
And to speak to the, just to speak on the, it ever turning into a junkyard or anything like that. I mean, the state of Tennessee wouldn't even allow that, even if that was our intent, but we have no plans of it ever being anything like that. We basically bought it just to develop it and turn it into rental property, just for rental income, so.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
Mr. Chairman,
Any other- Yes, Commissioner.
one thing I appreciate the gentleman also showing up. I reckon that he has some concerns like I have concerns. Red Johnson and the other lots there on the left going up to, like you're going into Knoxville, they're doing a decent job. But there is some businesses on the right side of the road. There are not zoned for junkyards they're still operating like a junkyard. And they're in violation of our zoning laws and the zoning codes and things of that nature. And I think that's probably what he is afraid of, is that we'll have more things come in there and intentionally violate our zoning laws and get it zoned and then intentionally go far and above, like the business on the very top on the right. Because there not supposed to be any broken down vehicles, any wrecked vehicles or anything like that on that place on the right, and that's full of them. So I just express extreme caution and care and request that, that whatever goes there, that no wrecked vehicles and broken down vehicles be allowed to be stored there at any time.
Thank you, Commissioner Fritz. Any other comments? Any other commissioners? You want to comment? If not, and just one more thing for Mr. Shepherd and Ms. Johnson. We won't take any action here during the public hearing portion, but right after the meeting begins, I'll give a report on this, and then if any motions or actions taken, that'll be when that occurs. So just wanted to let you know that. If not, this will conclude the public hearing and concludes the presentation portion of the commission meeting. Thank you.